Disney has been manufacturing pop stars for the past 20 years. They missed out on Britney Spears. They struck gold with Hilary Duff. We all know Miley, Selena, Demi, and the Jonas Brothers. And the most recent example is Olivia Rodrigo. There's no debate that Olivia Rodrigo is the biggest new artist of 2021. She debuted her first 3 singles at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making her the first artist in history to do so. Then her very first album, Sour, debuted at #1 and sold 300,000 copies first week. She peaked at 60 million monthly listeners on Spotify this summer and amassed 4.3 billion Spotify streams. She is the newest addition of the Disney Popstar roster that overpowered the early to mid 2000s. But when I found out that she was a former Disney Channel star, it got me thinking, man, we haven't seen somebody this poppin' come from Disney in a long time. The 3 biggest artists to start their careers on Disney are Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears. But Disney was not able to capitalize on their music careers like they were able to with Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, and a few others. Which leads me to ask a bunch of different questions. Is Disney responsible for the success of these artists? How did Disney produce as many pop stars as they did in the early 2000s? Where did they go wrong in the 90s? Why haven't they produced any other big pop stars in the past 7-ish years? And have they figured out a new formula that's been spearheaded by Olivia Rodrigo? And there's more pop stars right around the corner? Or was it all just a coincidence? We all know there's no such thing as coincidences. Make sure you're drinking water while you're watching this video. Okay, so Disney is not the sole responsible party for these artists being successful. I mean, after all, they are super talented, and I don't want to take away from them or suggest that they're all just industry plants that have been handed their careers. But is it a stretch to say that Disney scouts talent for their shows that they could see having a career beyond the series that they are casting for? I mean, you can only role play as a teenager for so long. Eventually, they look too grown up and actually get too grown up. Plus, Disney has understood how valuable their brand is when it comes to music since the 1930s. They recognized the start of their record label, Disney Music Group, in 1956, and at the time it was called Disneyland Records. But even 20 years before they started that label, they still released music that accompanied the films that they were putting out. Instead, they would sell the rights of the music to other record labels at the time. The soundtracks to Snow White, Pinocchio, Bambi, and Dumbo are among the more famous ones that were sold to independent companies in order to obtain more funds for their films. Imagine a time where Disney needed more funds. Once they realized how successful that music would go on to be, they decided to lay the framework for Disney Music Group in 1947. And every song produced by Disney since 1960 has been released under their own record label, Disney Music Group. Which brings me to my first question. Does Disney hire actors and actresses with the intentions of guiding their music careers beyond television? Let's fast forward to the early 90s with a Disney Channel show called the all-new Mickey Mouse Club. Also, I should mention that they started the Mickey Mouse Club in the 1950s and even had a version in the 70s, so this was the 3rd attempt at making it work. But the 90s version was basically a Saturday Night Live type show, but for 13-year-olds. They would do skits and live performances in front of a studio audience, and it would later be aired on television. In the 2 seasons from 1993 to 1994, they had Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears all on the same show. These were the very last 2 seasons of the show before it would be canceled. And you know the story, Justin, Christina, and Britney all became superstars. In fact, they're the 3 most successful stars to ever come from Disney, and they were all on the same show at the same time. So whoever casted that season had a crazy eye for talent. But these 3 never did an official music release with Disney Music Group. So you have to be thinking that Disney feels like they missed a huge opportunity, right? I'm not going to say that this show made them famous, but Disney gave them the biggest resume booster of all time. Not to mention it was the first time all 3 of them had any real entertainment industry work. It was probably so easy for them to go on and get record deals or get any entertainment work when they had the Disney stamp of approval. And just 5 years after that show, all 3 of them were multi-platinum selling and Billboard charting artists. I find this extremely interesting because in 1989, Disney started their imprint Hollywood Records, which was intended to release music outside of just soundtracks and movie songs, to act more like a traditional music label. So why didn't they try to just sign one of those 3? And in my opinion, this catastrophic miss is where Disney formulated a plan to develop a star on TV on the Disney Channel with the intention of turning them into a pop star. And in 2001, we got the instant hit show clocking in at 2 million viewers per episode, Lizzie McGuire, who was played by none other than Hilary Duff. The premise of the show is a 13-year-old girl who faces the regular personal and social issues of teenage years. Lizzie tries to develop her own identity, but is also attracted to the idea of popularity at school and longs for social acceptance among her peers. Throughout the show, she would express her love for singing and performing, along with literally wishing to be Britney Spears.
I like who I am, but I'd like to be Britney Spears.
Some pretty epic foreshadowing. In natural Disney fashion, they released the soundtrack to the show on August 13th, 2002, after the first season, and it would go platinum. But Hilary only performed the first song, Can't Wait, on the project, and that song was getting tons of radio play. I even found this old article where critics suggested that the Disney star was getting preferential treatment over Britney Spears. The roaring success of the TV show led to the Lizzie McGuire movie in 2003. In the movie, she's going on a school trip to Italy and finds out that she looks exactly like a famous Italian pop star and becomes her doppelganger and ends up performing pop hits. Sounds like a very familiar plot. Anyways, there were various musical performances throughout the film, but the song performed at the end became the most iconic. Hey now, this is what dream. I didn't hit the note, I'm sorry. They actually released the soundtrack before the movie, which was common Disney practice. That way the album was already in stores by the time people watch the movie, so they can leave their house and go buy it. Not like today where you can just upload to streaming services the same day. And because of the movie, the album went 1 times platinum. So they figured, let's do a whole Hilary Duff album. Just 3 months later, they released Hilary Duff's Metamorphosis album, which would go 3 times platinum. More successful than both of the soundtracks. She even did a 2-month-long tour. And just 2 months later, February 2004, Lizzie McGuire, the TV show, ends, and they did not start season 3 because Hilary was not happy with the money she was being offered. This started the downfall. July of 2004, they did A Cinderella Story, which was a huge success and has an estimated profit of about $75 million. And I kind of summarized all of this, but Lizzie McGuire was huge at this point. I mean, they were making hundreds of $millions in merchandise, they had video games, they had probably perfumes. Everything surrounding Hilary Duff was a hit, and she was the Disney star before that was really a thing. But at this point, Hilary was not happy with the image she developed on Disney. She consistently played the same character, nerdy, unaccepted, and awkward girl trying to figure out her life. Her 3rd album would be released on her 17th birthday, and she had way more involvement on it than the first one. She tried to break the Britney Spears mold that Disney forced kind of on her, and went for a more punk Avril Lavigne type vibe. The album would sell 1.8 million records, so it was very successful. But at this point, she wouldn't work with Disney again on a film or TV show, and she would only focus on her music and release through Hollywood Records. Her next 2 albums, Most Wanted and Dignity, would go on to have mild success. But in my opinion, Disney tried to manufacture exactly what they missed out on in the 90s. They attempted to recreate Britney Spears. And I know that sounds rough, but Hilary's first album was literally a kid-friendly Britney Spears album. And I think she realized this in 2004 when they tried to negotiate Lizzie McGuire season 3. She became resentful of the Lizzie brand and fame, and once the turmoil started with Disney, her success as a musical artist fizzled out. But once they received that massive success on Hilary, I have a feeling that the talent scouts at Disney turned up a notch. They weren't gonna make the same mistakes they did in 93 and 94 with Britney, Justin, and Christina. And they had the success of Hilary Duff to prove that they were on the right track. Hilary was the blueprint, and she knows this.
If it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a Miley, a
Exactly.
Demi. You ever look at it like that? Like you kind of started what they're doing now?
I do, but I don't sit around and like take credit for it.
And for the next 7 years, they were about to churn out pop star after pop star, and the best artist rollout in history was about to begin. 2006, High School Musical. Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens, and Ashley Tisdale are the 3 newest Disney Channel superstars of 2006. And this movie was huge. Box office numbers were a little low, a measly $4.2 million, but they sold $100 million in DVDs. You know, it wasn't like a real go to the theaters movie. Like, they aired it on Disney Channel. The soundtrack will go 4 times platinum in the US and multiple times platinum around the world. As of January 2016, the album has sold 5 million copies in the US alone, making it the best-selling TV soundtrack since Nielsen started keeping data in 1991. It was also the #1 selling album of 2006. You could make an argument that the soundtrack was way more impactful and successful than the movie itself. But Zac Efron obviously didn't pursue a music career. Vanessa Hudgens' first 2 albums wouldn't even go gold, and Ashley Tisdale had a very mild music career herself. But what would be the perfect follow-up to a wildly successful movie about high schoolers that sing? What about a show about a middle schooler who had a secret life as a pop star? I hinted at this before, but you can draw similarities in the Hannah Montana plot to the Lizzie McGuire movie, which is not a coincidence. They literally took the idea of Lizzie McGuire, combined it with High School Musical, and birthed Hannah Montana. Just 2 months after High School Musical aired, season 1 of Hannah Montana aired. They even used the HSM cast to promote the show.
We're the cast of High School Musical, and we're the cast of Hannah Montana. Your show is gonna be great. Your movie was awesome.
Yeah, but yours is gonna be off the hook.
The first season of Hannah Montana was a huge hit. It was the biggest season premiere in Disney Channel history. Midway through season 1 on October 24th, 2006, they released the first official album for Hannah Montana, and it went 3 times platinum in 8 months. Once the first album hit that 3 times platinum milestone, they dropped the second album, and that one would go 3 times platinum in 6 months. Then a few months after that, they dropped Miley's first solo album. That one went platinum in its first month. Also during this time, they signed the Jonas Brothers and introduced Selena Gomez as a rival pop star to Hannah Montana. Wait. I know that all started to hit you very fast. And it hit me fast too when I was doing the research. It's like everything is going step by step, cool, and then boom, all this crazy shit is happening at the same time. So let's go exact in chronological order so I can show you how pinpoint accurate and pre-planned and just literally perfect the rollout was for all of these superstars' careers. January 2006, High School Musical, movie soundtrack, album of the year. 2 months later, Hannah Montana starts. October 2006, Hannah Montana first album, 3 times platinum. February 2007, signed the Jonas Brothers to Hollywood Records. This was more of like a traditional record deal, not for like a TV show or a movie yet. April 2007, season 2 of Hannah Montana. June 2007, Hannah Montana album 2, which was combined with Miley's first album. It was like this double-sided disc thing, like the first half was Hannah, then the next half was Miley, but 3 times platinum. And then at some point while this is happening, they discover Selena Gomez. And 1 month later in July, they give Selena a role on Hannah Montana as a rival pop star. August 7th, 2007, the Jonas Brothers album releases, which would go on to be platinum, but listen to this rollout. 10 days after the album releases, August 17th, High School Musical 2 premieres on the Disney Channel. This premiere was significantly higher than High School Musical 1. The hype was real. 17 million live viewers. The largest premiere in Disney Channel history. The next thing that they aired immediately after the movie on Disney Channel was an episode of Hannah Montana. And who was on that first episode of Hannah Montana? None other than the Jonas Brothers. That was the most viewed episode in Hannah Montana history, which is kind of random because it was just like the 40th episode in a season. But they knew that all of those eyes and ears were going to be on High School Musical 2, and the next show, they literally made sure that they got the Jonas Brothers name out there because they just dropped an album like 2 weeks before. Ain't a coincidence, bruh. A few months later, October 7th, 2007, Wizards of Waverly Place first episode where Selena performed the intro song. So now those 3 are doing their thing. 1 year later, June of 2008, Camp Rock soundtrack released, followed by the Camp Rock movie, premieres on Disney Channel to 8.86 million viewers, which had the Jonas Brothers and Demi Lovato. So at this point, summer of 2008, Miley, Selena, Jonas Brothers, and Demi Lovato are all on the Disney Channel. Miley and Selena are on the TV show side, and the Jonas Brothers and Demi Lovato are on the movie side. So now Disney has introduced all 4 of their newest stars. And from 2008 to 2010, the Disney factory starts working, churning out album after album and making these artists superstars. 2008, Miley album, platinum. Demi debut album, gold. Jonas Brothers album, platinum. Selena stars in another Cinderella movie, which is literally the sequel to the Hilary Duff movie. And they used the single from the soundtrack to promote Selena's album the same way that they did for Hilary's first single on the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack. The same exact thing that worked for Hilary 4 years ago, they did it again with the same movie. 2009, Demi gets their own show called Sunny with a Chance. Jonas Brothers get their own show called Jonas. So now all 4 stars have their own show on the Disney Channel where they also perform the intro song. Selena and Demi also get a movie together called The Princess Protection Program, which was wildly successful. So you see, this is another time where they used 2 stars or different stars of different shows to help promote a new one, because Demi is still relatively new to the Disney scene compared to the other 3. They also used this movie to promote Demi's album, Here We Go Again, which went gold. Wizards of Waverly Place soundtrack drops, Double platinum. Miley Cyrus releases Party in the USA. Diamond, 10 times platinum. Still her biggest song to date, actually. Wizards movie drops, second highest viewership of all time, which kind of certified that Selena was maybe even bigger than Miley on Disney at the time. And again, I had to summarize all of that heavily. Like, there were tons of little details, but those were just the big things. But Disney laid the foundation for all of this. Cast a star for a TV show or a movie, release the soundtrack with a song performed by them, then use other popular shows and movies to cross-promote, drop an album, give them their own TV show or movie depending on which one they started with, rinse and repeat year after year, make millions and billions of dollars. And if you're forgetting my original point that this is all part of a massive manufactured plan, this is not just simply off talent or the skills of these child stars. They were a piece of a massive system that was generating billions from them. It was a literal factory, and it was all falling into place perfectly in 2009. And you see how they went step by step from 2001, just gradually getting better and better at it, until in 2009 it was all just working all at the same time, and everybody was peaking, and Disney's making billions of dollars. But just as everything was working perfectly in 2009, 2010 was when it came to a screeching halt. The end of an era was on its way. Jonas and Sunny with a Chance both released their second seasons, but ratings were already low for both of the shows. Miley releases her album Can't Be Tamed, which was her worst performing album, and if you think about the title, it kind of says a lot. Miley was expressing her inability to love the Hannah Montana show anymore. She was growing out of the tween era and into a young woman. We even got a famous quote from Miley in 2019. "The minute I had sex, I was kind of like, I can't put this fucking wig on again. It got weird." So basically, she's dressing, acting, and performing on stage in a very grown-up manner, was even caught on Instagram smoking salvia out of a bong, all while Hannah Montana season 4 was airing, and 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds around the world are looking up to her on the show and then seeing how she performs live and in person and just being really confused. And obviously, parents didn't like that. So the show kind of crashed and burned, and album sales plummeted, and Miley wanted to move on. Selena had a good year, though. She put out her second studio album, which went gold, and had a 2 times platinum single and another 1 times platinum single, and Wizards of Waverly Place was still performing great. 2011, Jonas Brothers are officially on a hiatus, Hannah Montana is officially over, and Sunny with a Chance was officially over. So Selena, is all up to you, baby. Wizards was in its last season, but again, Selena had a great year. She released a gold album and would have 3 singles get a combined total of 8 times platinum. Who Says, Love You Like a Love Song, and Hit the Lights were all crazy successful. Which is kind of wild how Selena's most successful year was when the Jonas Brothers and Miley Cyrus were gone and Demi Lovato was kind of in the background. Just goes to show you how powerful it can be when you have the entire Disney machine focusing on one thing. But once 2012 hit, the true end of it all happened, at least in terms of the shows, and really the general hype of Disney. Instagram and Vine were just about to be the biggest things in young kids' lives, and all their stars were just not children anymore. From 2012 to 2019, they didn't break anyone the size of Selena or Miley, at least not on the Disney Channel. And there are some honorable mentions that came from Disney that had some hot moments, Zendaya being one of the biggest, but she's basically only pursuing acting despite having some music success. Let's be honest, nothing to the scale of Selena and Miley. Demi and Selena are still releasing under Hollywood records for a few years beyond that, though. And Demi actually saw most of their success way after their time on TV. From 2013 to 2017, Lovato would release albums and singles totaling 25 times platinum, which brings us back today to Olivia Rodrigo. She had a role in Bizaardvark with Jake Paul. Show was trash. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I was a whole ass adult at that point. But her more significant role and bigger fame came with the Disney Plus show, being the star of High School Musical, The Show. Trash ass name. But she wrote 2 songs, All I Want and Just for a Moment, on the soundtrack, which were very successful songs. I mean, nothing to the level of the original High School Musicals, but who doesn't love a good reboot? And then she would go on to sign with Interscope Records and work on her debut album Sour, which broke numerous records. So Olivia never released any music with Hollywood Records. No solo songs, no albums, no nothing, aside from the songs that were in the High School Musical show. And after all the research I did, after everything I've laid out in front of y'all, it raises so many questions. And I have a few speculations. Maybe Disney has just recently figured out how to adapt to the new TV climate with Disney Plus, because we all know people ain't watching cable, and they haven't been for the past few years. They don't know how to adapt to this new music climate because the only way they had successful record sales was by dropping albums the same day that they premiered a movie or a TV show that had the artist in the damn show. So Olivia was able to get her fame up, then quietly move over to a real record label who could make her a star in 2021. Or this. Disney makes these people famous. I mean, everyone, starting with Hilary Duff, all got their fame from Disney. No question, no debate. Maybe Disney has one of them for life contracts where they low-key get a small percentage of everything that they make forever. So it doesn't really matter if the talent releases with another label or uses them to become famous because they got that finder's fee forever. Which sounds kind of like a conspiracy, but think of the platform and the resume Disney gives you when you're a young talent, actress, music, whatever it is. You have the Disney stamp of approval, like the biggest business ever. There is no doubt that Disney has mega connections in these record labels. Hell, they could probably even buy every single record label out there. So is it really a stretch to say that if you get discovered by Disney, maybe they got you for life? Or the third, which is a bit more positive and a little more open-ended. Maybe Disney finally figured out the finesse and Disney Plus is about to give us a whole new era of Disney pop stars. And they have been plotting and planning their new blueprint for the past 7-ish years, and Olivia is their first example. Kind of like when they missed out on Britney in '94 and made Hilary in 2001. Disney kind of held on to Demi and had a lot of success with her for the past few years, but they've been plotting and working on something new, and we have Olivia. Maybe this is just the beginning of the Disney Plus era, which would mean more iconic shows and even better, iconic pop stars, iconic music. But what do you think? New videos on my main channel every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you're subscribed and you have post notifications on. I want to see you comment first, and I want to see you drinking water.